just want to say thanks everyone for coming. My trusty assistant Toby will be in the chat answering any questions you might have. So please shout out. Give me a wave, write something in the chat if you can hear me. That'd be awesome, just to know that I'm not talking to nothing. Perfect, excellent. I hope everyone's having a nice evening and it feels a bit more like summer wherever you are. It's headed that way up here, which is great. So we're due to start 6. I can see loads of people have jumped on already, which is amazing. We'll give everyone else a few more minutes just to dive in, and then I'll give you a full rundown of the evening's events. But just to reiterate from Lewis and John, a massive thank you. This is a volunteer-led part of the WRU. It's imperative that that help is there. Clubs couldn't run without you guys. People couldn't play rugby without you guys, and most importantly, we can't make the game safer without everyone that puts their hand up and helps out. So huge thank yous to everyone for that. As a volunteer / coach at my local club, I know what you're going through. My best friend at the club is the chairman, so I get the inside track on just how much work everyone does in these environments to give everyone the opportunity to play the sport we love. So give yourself a pat on the back for starters, just for being here. That's an awesome job, well done. And then hopefully by the end of it, you'll be inspired and feel like there's someone out there got your back helping you with another part of the game that we're all trying to work on as we go along. So like I said, we're just a couple of minutes from kicking off. Shout in the chat where you're from. That's always helpful so we can see where everyone's dialing in from tonight, get a sense of what's going on. For those of you that haven't come across Proactive before, I think there's over 200 clubs in Wales, and after the last webinar, we've got just over 60 using it now. So the aim is to get you all on board by the start of the season. Oh, here we go, Neath. I've played there in my time. Amazing. Awesome. Great to have you all. So it's coming thick and fast. And also, I think we've got a combination of ops managers, safeguarding leads, general, volunteers and leads. So hopefully this will be relevant to all of you. And I will say this again at the end, but if you haven't had a login yet, which was originally sent to the operation leads, but you would like one to be able to use the app, then let us know at the end and we can get you sorted out, because ultimately it's only as good as the people using it, which is going to be you guys. I think Leanne, is that Leanne from earlier on the email, said she didn't get one yet. We will figure that out ASAP after this. Completely unrelated, is anyone an Arsenal fan? I am. I know it's the wrong sport, but you've got to celebrate the wins where you can. Presumably everyone's a Wrexham fan now, are they? Thanks to Ryan Reynolds. Won't be long before they're winning the Premiership the way they're headed. And just while we're chatting, just last minute out, is anyone on the call actually been on the app yet? I know that some people might have been on the call before or have got the login now already. So if anyone has dived in and had a go, it would be great to get a sense of how it's going. But don't worry, by the end of this, hopefully be up to speed. And like I said, if those of you that are in the safeguarding camp or not in the operations side haven't got a login, don't worry, and we will get you one afterwards. You don't need it for this evening. That's the important thing. This today is going to be me running through the app, doing a demonstration, letting you know where we're at with it, but you don't actually need one for tonight. So don't worry about that. Awesome. All right, let's go. 6:04 Wednesday evening. We'll make this brief. The presentation will be 25 minutes to 30 minutes. There will be plenty of time for questions at the end, so either put them in the chat on the way or hold on to them. If you've got a pen and paper and you want to take some notes, that's always helpful. But the presentation that we're going to do this evening will be sent out by Lewis and the team afterwards, and then we're going to obviously send the recording of this as well. So we'll get going. I'm just going to start the presentation, all being well. So if someone could just give me a thumbs up that they can now see the start of a presentation. Awesome, Mark, thank you very much. So we should start with a few thank yous. Firstly, to the WRU for making this happen. Lewis and John have worked really hard behind the scenes. They are very passionate about safety in rugby. This is going to be a great tool to help you improve that across the board. And also to Howden, the insurers, brokers, for making this possible. So it is in fact this year free for everyone, free for all clubs, which is a massive step forward. We've been working with the RFU for a number of years and they've been very supportive, but they haven't been this supportive. So you are incredibly lucky to get it free. And that means we can really, reduce the barriers to entry and get people up and running as quickly as possible. As it says at the top, its primary purpose is for incident reporting and concussion tracking within the game of rugby. The app itself was created actually before COVID and was very useful during COVID for helping people return, log in, make sure that they were safe, tell the coach they were safe. Got used over 1 million times during that period. And so there is a general version, a global version of the app, which people have. But this version, the WRU version, has obviously been tailored to your needs, to the needs that John and Lewis recognized. And it is a digital reporting tool for incidents that occur within the club. It's very easy to set up and use, and we'll look through a little bit of that in due course. But it's a simple app. We can look at it on desktop, and for most people on this call, for those that have asked for logins, it's definitely worthwhile going in on the desktop version first. So when you've been sent your login, excuse me, when you've been sent your login, if you go in, set everything up on desktop first, it's just easier to move around. It's very simple on the native app, which you can download by searching WRU Proactive Reporting App, as it says there. But it just, it's easier to see across the board if you start on a desktop just to set people up, etc. So we'll have a quick look at what it comprises. The way the app is built is to create modules so that each, in this case, WRU or say British Gymnastics are using it, didn't necessarily need all of the different incidents reporting. They can add and subtract apps or modules. The modules you have within your app are instant reporting, and we'll see what that covers in a minute. On top of that, you can then turn an incident into a concussion tracker, which obviously is very important. And John has worked really hard to make it really simple, go through the steps correctly, education at the same time. So it's not just a tool for going through a process, it's actually educating the person inputting the data and the person that's receiving the data. Pre-session checks, which I think are really important, and hazards that are spotted around the club. So that's a really good practice to get into for coaches. And a bonus of a medical emergency action plan. So when you set this up, you can put that within the app and anyone can access that if they've got the app and their phone in their pocket anywhere at the club, so that if anything happens, they know exactly what to do. They've got all that information there, and that's a really good safety tool. We'll have a look at how it's created. The way to think of it is, and most of the people in this call will be club admins, so they'll be at the top. They will have access to all levels of the app, all levels of the club, and they will be able to see everything that's happening across the club. We're then going to create groups or teams underneath that. So in rugby terms, you're under 18s, you're under 16s, you're under 18s girls, so that you can then silo users, i.e. coaches, into those groups. So what we don't want is a user having access to all the information for two reasons. It can be a bit overwhelming. I get every incident that's reported by email comes into my inbox. So on a Monday morning, it's pretty hectic. And then you also just don't want them necessarily seeing stuff for other other group. So, if you're the under eights coach, you don't necessarily need to be seeing what's going on in the under 10s from a safeguarding, and also just, we don't want any confusion in who's managing those things. As I said, the top level club admins, when you set them up, can see everything. So the safeguarding officers, the operation officers, maybe the chairman wants to see everything. But the dashboard shows each of those modules, and it has a traffic light system. So you'll see when we look at it that there's a red box for things that need action, instances of code that need action. And then on the second side, you need to see things that have been completed, so you can just have peace of mind that that is occurring. Okay, as we said, one of the major resources this creates is the ability to put people on a graduated return to play in the correct way, using the correct steps at the correct time. Now, the reality is hopefully all coaches have done the course, and so they will be aware of these steps, but they may not have it fresh in their mind. And certainly parents, as this app is predominantly going to be used in a community game where most of the rugby is played, parents may not have heard of it. They certainly might not be aware of the steps and the timing of those steps. So this really is an invaluable tool to make sure they get that information at the right time and are doing the right things, because a graduate return to play done properly is there for a very specific purpose, which is to keep people safe. An injury has occurred, in this case a head injury, and done right, that person's going to be safer and better prepared when they come back to not have another incident occur. Like I said, and we'll go through this shortly, it's a very simple process of creating an incident. Should take less than 2 minutes. It can be done on your phone once the user is logged in, created their account, and then they've downloaded the app, so they'll have it there ready. I think, for instance, it's a good practice to do the pre-session checks, if nothing else, just to get used to using the app. Obviously, you've got a log of what's happening for each session, which is very useful for everyone to know should an incident occur. If that incident becomes a concussion, then the follow-up to that is the players or the guardians of that player will get the information for the graduated return to players we've just seen. And as we've looked at already, you'll go into a dashboard and make sure that if there's anything that needs to be followed up afterwards, that there's a record of that, and there's a place where people can see that progress and make sure it's happening properly. So to bring it to life, I'm just going to jump out of this presentation, and I'm going to jump in to the actual app itself. And again, shout out, but you should be able to see the dashboard that I've described, each of the modules, and a red and green box showing actions that are needed on specific instance, and then the actions that are there. So hopefully that's a good overview. We mentioned earlier, the setup is super simple. So whoever has the job, and don't be daunted by it, it's really straightforward. You'll be going in and creating groups. And as you can see here in our test account, we've just gone for some simple under 18s, under 18 girls, etc. You can have as many groups as you like. And then you would then underneath those create users. And so each of those users you can see here is either a company admin that allows them to do and see everything, a group admin, which might be a manager of an age group who might want to add users to take some of the weight off the company admin, and they can see everything that happens across that group, or just a coach, someone that's out there doing the nuts and bolts, but still needs to be able to process these incidents when they occur. So I think the best thing to do now, and there are videos on this which I will share at the end, so don't worry about remembering all of this. They will be a series of videos, not only this presentation itself, but there's a series of how-to videos specific to the WRU app that you can follow through step by step. But what we'll do is we'll submit an incident, and you'll see that there's a submit report button at the bottom. There's one on the top. We're not going to miss them. And we're going to create an incident. On this occasion, just to go through it, I'm going to create an incident which we know later on is going to be turned into a concussion event. The reason I suggest the good practice, best practice of doing it separately is that you don't want to trigger the concussion event until you've told the guardians. You don't want them getting an email or a text about a concussion that they don't know about. That could be distressing. So this is best practice. So outside of pre-session checks and hazards, if an incident has occurred, even if it's a head injury, and we can do them very quickly afterwards, but start with creating the incident. So you'll see it's a series of drop-down boxes. Very straightforward. If someone's timing, we'll see if we can do it in 2 minutes while I'm talking. Cardiff Arms Park, there we go. That's showing its age. Whoever created the prompts for this. So we're talking about where it is, the specifics of where it is, the activity of what was occurring, and this was a match, and the instant. And like I said, there's a couple of other things other than injuries and accidents which you might want to put in. If there was a sideline incident with violence or a near miss and accident, you could put that in. But we're going to follow through as an injury. And then this is where I was saying you select the group. So you select the group in which the individual had the incident. Now, just to stop here, you can stop the timer. Just a note, people's or players' information is not preloaded into the app, and it's not held in the app as a database of people's individual. Obviously, the instant where you're putting their information against is kept in the database. That is anonymized. So if the the WRU can see that, but it's anonymized, and you might want to share it, which we'll look at later. But it doesn't keep a database of all your players. So put the person's name, put the date of birth. Now the injured area for this instant is going to be head and neck. The more information you can put, the better for following this up. I'm going to add the injury. You could, if there were additional injuries, add those as well. And then we're going to start describing what happened. On the pitch during a match. Once you've described it, there's a few tick boxes here. Was first aid administered? It was. Were there any witnesses? Normally there will be. We can put. We didn't need medical assistance, and was their guardian informed? So we're going to leave that as non-ticked because, as I said, that's something we want to do afterwards when we turn it into a concussion. And then it's a suggestion so that when we come back and look later at the report, what might we have done differently? Well, we could do some more training on tackling. Any additional notes here? I'm going to put form parents after match. And there we go. So we've got all the information we've just described. We can check through that we're happy with it. And then before we sign it, there's a box that says are follow-up actions required? Well, in this case, they are, because we haven't yet created a concussion or told the parents. So we need to create a tracker, sign that. And you see it's gone red there, so we can submit it. So there we go. Number one, that's hopefully been a pretty quick run through of how easy it is to create an incident. And then as you see, it's very cleverly knows, because we put in a head injury, that it was a requirement to turn it into, or ask the question, should we turn it into a tracker? We won't do that right in this instant, but we will do that in a second. But if we go back to the dashboard now, if you notice, any of you eagle-eyed ones, that there were 16 actions needed, now there's 17. Just to be clear, this is a demo account, so none of these actually need doing. But you can see here the top one, today's date and time, brief of what occurred. And if we click into that, all the details are there. But as we pointed out, and as we know, we go back to the dashboard, we do actually need to recognize this as a concussion and start the graduated return to play. So we're going to jump in and submit a report again, but this time we're going to go and add a concussion. And the beauty of this is, having done the instant report first, is that that is sitting there in the drop-down list ready to go. So all of that information is already preloaded. And then all you have to add here is the signs of concussion. So anything that we saw that has prompted us to put them on the graduated return to play, as many of those as required. And this is the clever bit. So this is where you would put the guardian information. Now, if they're over 18, obviously you can put their information in. We do get often asked if there's more than one guardian, then you could put one's email and one's mobile, and they would then get the subsequent emails and texts at the same time. And once that information has gone in, we're going to start the tracker. Now, what does that mean? Well, that actually means that two things are going on. One, within the app, we can now see and track that individual's recovery. So we can go into here and see what stage they're at, which is really important. But then on top of that, the Guardian will have got a series of emails, and this is what the first email looks like, and it will tell them what that individual should be doing. As I said at the beginning, it's a lot to expect every parent to know the graduated return to play protocols. So this is a prompt so that they know and they can go through it in the right way. As you can see, this is what they should be doing in the first 24 to 48 hours. It does also give them a link to that documentation so they can look ahead as to what's coming, which I think is really important. And also answer some of their questions. I know, and it does happen, obviously some will come back and question and want to see if they can bend the rules. The answer is no, they can't. One of the questions we also get is, can parents progress the timings? No, they can't. It is fixed in. John, obviously the gradual return to play process is very rigid. They can't jump ahead, so they do have to wait the 24 hours or 48 hours, before they get the next email, and then that tells them what to do next. And then they can also copy and share this information. Now, as I said, the emails and text they will will have a link when required for them to prove that or say that the individual is at the next stage. So say stage 4, have they been symptom free for 14 days at rest? Then they will click yes, and that moves them into stage 5. If that isn't the case, they can click no, and it will delay the next stage. Only the people that are put in as the guardians or the individual if they're over 18 will be able to progress that. If you share this link, all it will do will show whoever you share it with the stage that individual at. So if you think an incident occurs and a concussion on a Sunday at the club, but actually you know that they're going back to school and the school plays rugby or any other sport or activity, you can share that link with their teachers so that they know what stage that child is at. And then what we really don't want to happen in any of these cases is someone to leave the rugby environment, go somewhere else, not tell them what's going on, be doing activities that aren't appropriate and causing problems. So if you do press the coaches that they can share this by WhatsApp or email to anyone they think is relevant, again, it won't have sensitive information in. They won't be able to progress it. It will simply allow them to know what stage that individual is at. For instance, if we go back in here and look at a different one, here's one we did earlier in a Blue Peter sense. You can see this one's at stage 4. So they're in non-contact training drills, and that's really useful. That is so that they really know what's going on. There is the option here. You can see manual progress. There is an option for someone within the club, a safeguarding officer, if their parents are happy for them to manually progress it. Just occasionally, the emails get lost or the texts get lost, and people and parents aren't progressing. But we don't advise that's the norm. It should be the guardians that are handling that wherever possible. There we go. We'll just jump out then, and hopefully that's giving you a quick rundown of how easy it is to process stuff and create incidents. And we go back to our presentation. We've gone through that, and here we are. Here are the series of emails I'll get if I just enlarge that. And there we go. These are just the sort of emails that the parents or guardians are going to get. It's got some additional advice. As you've seen, it's going to have a link to the graduated return to faith protocols, and it's going to keep everyone informed. Now, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves with the statistic dashboard because at this point, most of the clubs that have signed up, even if they have, won't be reporting much yet with the off season. But as you go along, you can start to look at the data in a more broad sense. So you can start to look for trends. You can divide that up into the club as a whole, into individual groups, and you can start to run reports and just see if there's anything jumping out at you. You know, why this time of year might there be more incidents? Is this group getting more incidents than others? And it's really just to ask the question then of, is there something we've missed? Can we see if we do things differently? Is some more training needed? Do we need to do, you know, better pre-session checks and make different decisions in terms of whether training should go ahead depending on the conditions? It's all really just information that can then be used to go back and educate the coaches, the volunteers, the people that are putting their time and energy in. It really should be seen as that way. It's not punitive. It's not trying to look for trouble. It's just so that we can have visibility and you can start to look across the club and also to see that reports are being run, right? At the end of the day, the more reports that are run, the more coaches that are involved, the safer environment will be created, and also the club and everyone will have more data in order to make better decisions going forward. So like I said, we put club administrator here, but it might be a chairman, it might be an operation manager, it might be safeguarding. Anyone that has asked for a login that's got one will have an admin level login. They will be able to look across the club, add coaches, add groups, and they will be able to help set the app up and educate others. In doing that, there is this series of how to use videos in a playlist, and I'll show you what that looks like now. If you can scan that now, don't worry, you'll be getting this link and this presentation afterwards, so don't worry about that. My son was doing a project last night and very sweetly wrote down the URL in his notebook in the hope that he'd be able to type it out later. But that's a little bit old school. So here we go. Let's have a look. If we just share. Just so you know you're in the right place. When you arrive at YouTube, you'll see here, there's me talking again. The first video is a demonstration which you've just had. The other videos are all numbered here. So we've got how to set up the medical emergency plan I talked about, and then how to set up everything from groups to coaches to reporting incidents. And that's as much for you as for other people. You can point them in the direction of this asset. So when your coaches start using it, if they've got any questions, they can go and have a look through here and most things are answered. And then if we look at the final page of the presentation as well, you'll see that the email is there, hello@proactivereporting.com. Send us a note if you've got any questions, any queries, if you're loving it, if you've got anything that needs to be improved, if you have any trouble, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Like I said, you're doing an amazing job. You're the volunteers, you put your hand up to help. We want to make that as easy as possible. That is the aim of the tool in itself. To reiterate, John and Lewis and Howdens have presented that free of charge for the first year at least. So that's an amazing opportunity. We're trying to make it as frictionless as possible in terms of setting it up, using it. If there's pushback from coaches, that will happen. They're always imagining that we're asking them to do more. But for the small amount of time and the minutes it takes to do, it really is gathering a huge amount of data. It really is helping make the game that we love safer. And that is all down to the hard work that you all put in. So, yeah, as an ex-player, I didn't present that at the beginning, but as a player from the generation where we didn't know better, and we're trying to do better as parents now, it's inspiring when you get and meet people within the environment that are really pushing this and other things forward to make the game safer, so that we can carry on, getting kids through it. They can learn all the great things there are to learn in rugby, but in a safer environment. So I think we've covered everything in the time promised. Hopefully it's been informative. I'm sure there'll be questions. As I said, dive in the chat, ask some questions if you need to now. Toby and I can answer those. If there's anything more specific to the WRU, specifically, the graduation return to play or safeguarding, then I know John is away taking a well-earned break, but if you send in your questions, then Lewis can take them away and get you an answer. It's been a pleasure. Anything, Tobes, in the questions that jump out to you? Apart from, can we have a login? Yes, we will get to that.
Yeah, we'll get through all of those tomorrow. So if you've not got one, you will get one. I've responded to everybody who's sent a message in. I think I've answered everything. There are a few hands up. I'm happy to take questions now for those people who've got hands up. Obviously, if you've not got a hand up, you're welcome to leave now. Please jump off. It's fine. Luke will send these this presentation out along with user videos as well, so you'll all get that. I can see a question.
Number one,
you do. You do the questions because you can unlock people so that they can use their microphone.
So I think it's Hurley. Is it Hurley? Can you undo your mic and jump in with a question?
If you're struggling and you want to put it in the chat, no problem.
Let's try. Let's have a look. What going on? Okay, so Aberdare, I think. I'm not sure that's the name, but you should be able to unmute yourself and jump in with a question. Maybe the hands up are just to say hi.
Yeah. Or yeah. Okay, fine. Lewis, would you be comfortable answering a couple of questions? We do have a couple that have said, is this now a mandatory thing for every club to do?
No, not mandatory, but we would really, really appreciate the support if clubs were able to, but not mandatory at this stage.
I think
we understand that you guys are. Oh, sorry, Luke.
No, jump in.
I was going to say, we do understand you guys have got probably, especially the safeguarding officers, have got a million and one things going on top of what else you do. So if you aren't in a position there to do it, then we would like maybe to speak to the committee maybe and take it to them. I know in one of the comments it was mentioned that might be the way forward, but yeah, not mandatory, but definitely highly recommend.
No, absolutely. I mean, everyone's doing an amazing job. I mean, the question we often ask is, hopefully we are trying to track concussions, put people on graduate return to play. And I honestly don't think there's an easier tool out there to do it. This is obviously worked with John. It's set up to exact specifications for WRU. It's free. As you've seen, it's pretty easy to use. So while I know some historic clubs we've come across in the RFU are still trying to do it on paper, and all credit to them if that's what they want to stick with. But my recommendation is, have you got something that's rigid, that's doing the right job well, and that's where we step in. Tobes, any other?
I'm just going to answer a couple of questions just to save me. Just to be really clear, the data is anonymized and shared with the WRU. So they can see how many active concussions there are across the game, number of incidents per age group, but they don't get the detail as in the individual incident, who's involved, what happened. It is in a statistical form. Marie, you've asked the question, would this cover pitchside incidents between parents? Absolutely, it would. Yeah, so when Luke did the demonstration, there was the opportunity in the drop down to put in behavior or aggression as an incident and report on that. So yes.
One thing for me, one takeaway is if you've got a login or when you get a login, don't delay, just dive in, have a go. You won't be able to break it. You know, at this stage, if you're just doing a demo, a made up instant just to get a hang of it, you know, it's no problem. I think that's the way to go. So that at least the people that have set it up have got a handle on it, so that, you know, if they get any questions from the other users, they've got a starting point of some experience themselves. Yeah, I generally reckon less than half an hour. I think certainly you could set a group up, set a user up, do an incident in less than half an hour. Obviously, the extra stuff of setting all the users up on the medical emergency action plans might take a bit longer, but I honestly think within half an hour you could have set a user up, set a group up, and run a report and got a handle on it. So yeah, just do that. Just there's one takeaway when you get your login, find 20 minutes, half an hour, just so you've used it once. Hopefully you'll fall in love with it.
Sorry, Luke, just really quickly to Marie, if it was a pitch side incident that breached our regulations and our discipline regulations and things like that, you'd still have to contact us if you wanted that to go through our disciplinary process. But it'd be great for internally to have that recorded as a club. And then also for Mari, it's not currently linked to my WRU. So player registrations and things like that, so they can't be dragged across. But I think we'd have a desire to do that long term, but currently it's just not something we're able to do. That's a WRU issue, not a proactive.
Can I just answer one quickly? Does it have to be coaches that have it, or can it be team managers? Yes, it can be team managers that have it. Absolutely, that's your call.
And I'm right in saying, Toby, is 60 the limit for how many users per club, or?
It is 60 is the limit, but if you feel like you need more logins, then just get in touch and we can increase it for you. That's fine.
Yeah. So in essence, the more the merrier would be my answer. Lovely.
Sorry, Marie, if you mean an incident as in like a complaint against a referee, for example, that goes through the WRU.
60 users, somebody just asked, it's standard to have 60 users, but as Toby said, if there was a need for more, then we can figure that out. Looking through the chat.
Not quite sure I understand the question. Would the RFC and a girls' hub have a separate 60? If there were two organizations, there would be 60 logins for each organization. Does that answer the question? Just give me a thumbs up if it does. Or maybe you get in touch with us directly, and if we need to set up two accounts for you, we can do that to give you two separate accounts.
Okay, says we play Nelson RFC as Bell's females hub. So I don't know, Lewis would be able to know whether would they be registered as a separate club, or would they just be a group within the Nelson RFC account?
Yeah, a group within, but I think as Toby mentioned, there might be a bit of leeway where we can change that, especially if the guys are willing to use the app, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, get in touch with us if you need that. If we need to set up two separate accounts, we're happy to do that. Marie, we have more than 6 teams next season, so would need more to include administration.
So just to be clear, the users are the coaches and the managers. So if you generally think you'll have more than 60 of those, it's not the players, the number of players or other individuals. So it's just the people that would be reporting instance. So if you generally think you'd need more than 60 people having the app, then again, drop us an email, hello@proactivereporting.com, and we'll sort it out.
But I think the idea, Murray, there would be to have one administrator, 6 coaches or whoever it may be, one with each team.
Yeah, one within each group.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, anybody
So-
that's needing 2 accounts, I'm just looking at the question here. Can I have 2 separate accounts, please? One for Wrexham Rugby Club and one for Valkyrie's Girls Hub. Yes, we can do that. So just email in to the hello, and we'll get that set up for you, no problem. Good question. Will everything we'd log stay on there for the season? Yes, it does. We have an archiving month, which tends to be, I think it's August.
You can set it when you create the club, so you can set the month at which it archives it, which just means that it won't show on the dashboard after that. So if you set it up now, for instance, and put in May as the archive month, next May the previous years will get archived, and all that means is it won't clog up your dashboard anymore. They are still accessible, so they will still be kept, but it just means it won't clog up your dashboard. But you might just want to do it, set it for the start of the season, for instance. I've just put the hello@proactivereporting.com email in the chat. Is in the presentation that Lewis will be sending out shortly, so you can grab it there. I think we're dying down on questions.
Yeah, if not, just contact us directly and we'll do that as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for taking the time out. As I said, the whole aim is to have created a product that makes the game safer, but takes the weight off the people that are volunteering to do it in the first place, so that hopefully it's actually an enjoyable task. Not when someone gets hurt, obviously, but when we have to report these things, that it's not the onerous task that you might think of it as in your head. So thank you again. Like I said, you've got our email address. Reach out with any questions. We'll get all those people that have requested logins sent over as soon as possible tomorrow now. And yeah, hopefully, as the timing is, we'll get a chance for everyone to get in, do some practice, spread it around the club, get those other coaches and volunteers signed up, so that come the start of the season, it's closer to being, a standard thing that everyone does without thinking twice. All right, everyone, have a lovely evening. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy. Hope the sun is shining. And yeah, we'll see you soon.